moment. Welcome back to Glenn's Comic Corner Classic, Non-Classic. This episode 1885 and Doubleshot number 1779. Got two DC trades for you. First up is another Batman trade. We have Gotham Central, Book 1 in the Line of Duty. Written by Edward Baker and Greg Rucka. With artwork by Michael Lark. Yes, the critically acclaimed series that lasted for 3 years. Well, total number 40 issues. Yes, a series that's one of my personal favorites from DC that has been published in the last 20 years. I wasn't reading at the time when the series first started. Now, if you're curious though, when was the first issue ever released for the series? The answer is in December 2002, and it concluded. So basically, this series was going on for about 2 years by the time basically I got into comics. In this book here, we basically have 3 story arcs basically to start the series off. Yep, and these are the new printing books. Yes. The new printing books, basically because the original books actually skipped some issues. Yeah, I don't know why, but it did. Apparently, by the way, this book basically covers what was in mostly the first two volumes. Issue 16 and I think it was 427. Not here. Don't know why, but they're not here. Yep. Now, the first story arc is now. This book is by far one of, as to my knowledge, I believe this is one of, I think this is the only book that Edward and Greg Rucka work on together. And here's a fun fact about this 40-issue comic book. Despite the fact there was few crossovers published this period of time, yeah, like throughout the book's entire existence, like from this period of time we have storylines like, this is from like 0206. So basically it's like War Games. Yes, that was published this period of time, but did not cross over with it. Nope, it did not. Don't know why, but it didn't. Yes, as far as I can tell, there's just no reason for it at all. You probably think, okay, what about Joker's Last Laugh? I think that was published just prior. Yeah, that was published prior to this one, so that's a no. Bruce the Fugitive was not part of it. Yeah, this is probably the only one of the very few Batman series where you have it where none of the issues of the entire series ever tied into a crossover that happened in DC Comics at this period of time. None. The first 2 issues are a good crime drama where you basically have a detective where he's investigating what happened with his partner who got killed by Mr. Freeze. Yes, Mr. Freeze. And this is basically the whole point of the series is to kind of have Batman there, but it's not his series. This series is mostly focused on the Gotham City Police Department. And here's the thing, like 2 of the stars of the series, Renee Montoya and Christmas Allen, and Maggie Sawyer do not play a role in the series for the first story arc. Nope, they don't. So basically now, the way the thing starts out, it seems like because I watched the series called Homicide on the Streets, it had a very similar premise. One of the episodes where you have these detectives who went to this wrong address, and almost a lot of them got hurt during this whole thing, and this one got killed. It's a very similar thing. I don't know if Edward Baker basically took inspiration from Homicide on the Street. Those who don't know what Homicide on the Street is, it was basically a police procedural aired back in the late 1990s. Last it was on the air for a few years. It had a few crossovers with Law and Order, and basically one of his stars, John Munch, played by Richard Belzer. He went over to Law and Order SVU, where he basically became a regular character in that series. Most of the years, they became a recurring character afterwards, until he got written out to work for the DA's office. That's basically what happened to his character. And he plays character consistently for almost 20 straight years. Basically one of TV's longest running characters. So that one, basically, they went the wrong address because of a typo in the warrant. That was simple. This one. This one, there wasn't really a real reason for it at all. Not really. So they eventually do have to call him Batman to Mr. Freeze because of too many victims. So at first they basically just told Commissioner Atkins. Michael Atkins was the commissioner of GCPD this period of time. You're probably thinking, where's Jim Gordon? Retired. He retired basically about a year prior to the start of the series, thanks to Cross Officer Down, where he got wounded and he had to retire. And he stayed retired for a few years. And then after the events of Infinite Crisis, he's back at the commissioner of GCPD now. And you're probably wondering about Maggie Sawyer. I believe Maggie Sawyer transferred around this period of time. I'm not really sure exactly why they transferred what essentially put is a character from Superman over to this book. Yeah, I'm not really sure exactly why. It's just kind of weird. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as far as I can tell, I don't really know the reason why they moved her over to basically this book. Well, they moved her over thanks to the events of Office, thanks to No Man's Land. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in the case of the very next story arc, it basically is called Motive. Deals with a character called Firebug. They do in fact capture the guy, and well, once again they use the bat saying to contact Batman. So he's basically told by the capture Firebug, it's like, good, but anything else? Nope, that was it. It's like, okay, but next thing you'll only use it for emergencies. Yep. Now, in the case of what happened next, that was Motive. That's the 3 issues. We also have the critically acclaimed Half a Life story arc. Yes, this is the very story arc that Renee Montoya was outed as a lesbian. Yes. Now, to date, they have basically done... DC, in my opinion, has done a really good job when it comes to developing this character as a lesbian. I mean, her first girlfriend in DC Comics continuity, well, the first noteworthy one is one named Darla Hernandez, who is a pastry chef. Now, the thing is, she was outed as a lesbian... And by the way, you don't review. It's not revealed until toward the end of the story arc who's responsible for this. Also, she's framed for murder. She also beat up a PI who was stalking her. And of course, IA, the internal investigation, was involved. Oh, and by the way, she knew who was responsible for the whole thing. Like, outed her as a lesbian. And basically, all the bad stuff happened to her. It was frickin' Two-Face. Yes, Two-Face was responsible for this crap. And... one of the guys, his name was Conway, and he was revealed later in the story to be an informant of Two-Face. Yes, frickin' Two-Face. And here's the thing about her lawyer. For some strange reason, she actually had a lawyer all lined up, and then for some reason, last minute, Renee Montoya knew nothing about this. She got replaced with Bruce Wayne's lawyer. In the book, the explanation possibly is because Bruce Wayne probably knows who she is, probably based on her reputation, but I don't think that Bruce Wayne's ever met Renee Montoya. He probably trusts her. He probably also thinks because she's hot too. I mean, she probably doesn't give a damn in the fact that she's a lesbian. Not really, no. And also, she has a thing basically because her family is like old-fashioned, and where she does bring up the book that her parents, every time she sees them, they're always wondering where are the grandchildren. And then, of course, off-panel, she has finally told her parents that she's a lesbian, and they disown her. Yes, they disown her for being a lesbian. Yes, seriously. That is the reason for it. As it relates with Darla, it's only just in this series, because by the time of the Series 52, they're no longer a couple. Though they did reveal her first actual girlfriend. She had another girlfriend in that series that was actually Kate Kane, a.k.a. Batwoman. Yep. Though in the current continuity they get back together. Love this series. This got a great start to it for the very first arc, and I don't have the other three books here, but this just really good here. I love it. I give the first trade for Gotham Central in the Line of Duty. I give this book a 10 out of 10 because it is really, really good. And all the critical acclaim they got, yeah, it rightfully earned it. Yes. Okay. So next up we have the second and last trade for... Come on, seriously. Come on, stop it. Thank you. Okay. We have Superman, The Black Ring, Volume 2. This collects issues 896 to 900. Now here's the interesting thing comes to 900. This issue's actually collected twice, believe it or not. Now 900 is the finale for this Black Ring story arc here, but is also the start of the very final story arc of this run. Prior to its relaunch in 2011, Ram Doomsday, which we'll discuss the very next comic quarter, which will be tomorrow, by the way. Of course, this story is still written by Paul Cornell. Now, I should also point something else out about this. Only 896 had a backup feature. Now, the other stories for 900 are actually collected in trade, believe it or not. I thought they weren't, but it turns out they are. They're actually collected in the Ram Doomsday trade. Yes, DC actually put those backup stories in trade. Makes me wonder why they put the other backup features they had in this freaking period of time they had here. Like the Superboy one, or the Jimmy Olsen one, which I'll get to Jimmy Olsen. So, now this book does contain not only 896 and 900, but also Secret 6 number 29. This is actually from the third volume for the series. And the 13th annual. Anybody thinking, did they collect one story? Oh no, they collected both. Yes, they're both in here. Yep. So, in this particular set of issues, basically we first start off with the whole thing with a crossover Secret 6 from 896. It's basically kind of because we started off with 895, we continue here, and it's concluded in Secret 6, where Secret 6 is hired to be Lex Luthor's bodyguards while he deals with Vandal Savage. Yeah, that's really the purpose of this. And yeah, it's just really good, interesting crossover. Oh, by the way, Secret 6 is basically, that part was done by, of course, Gail Simone. Yep. But the story itself was just really good. It is interesting, though, that basically it's good, though, that DC threw this issue in here, because it would not make any sense to not include it at all. But it's a great two-parter. And then we continue right afterwards with more issues of Action Comics. Yeah, and by the way, when it was revealed that they used them as bait for, well, using them as bait against Vandal, they quit on them. And this is by far, I think from what I can tell, I think this was the last time Secret 6 outside this was probably the only time, second and last time they appeared outside of a comic book. And right after that two-parter wraps up, we have the annual. Yes, the annual 13, which this was actually the last annual of her Action Comics released for about 2 years, because I think the next annual wasn't released until Lobdell took over the book. Let me take a look at it just to be sure, because I believe that was the next time. Okay, so actually it was released like the following year. Yeah, it was released like 1 year later. Yeah, I think this was collected, I believe, in the second volume of Grant Morrison's run for Action Comics. Yes, I believe so. So yeah, it was roughly like a year later. Yeah, like a year after this one wrapped up. Yeah, it was roughly like just a little over a year later, which actually wasn't that bad. Yeah. And of course, for the previous volume of the series, they for volume 2 they did release. I think it was like about 4 annuals for that entire. I think it was like 3 or 4 annuals, and I've covered all of them. Yes, this released 3 annuals and like a handful of one shots. Yep. Now, each story features a. Now, the thing with this annual is it's stories about young Lex Luthor, not Superman. Lex Luthor. The first story involves an encounter with Ra's al Ghul, and their story involves an encounter with Darkseid. Yes, he encounters freaking Darkseid when he was a kid, when he's like a teenager. Yeah, the first one basically involves him when he's kind of started his time as a millionaire, lead stays at a hotel. Yeah, kind of his early days. And by the way, he's got hair. Yeah, and then he encounters Darkseid and the rest of the gods of Apocalypse. And this anime is just so fun. I like this stuff with Young Lex. It's pretty fun what it is. And then we have stuff with him and Roz, which is interesting to say the least. Yeah, then finally move on to 896. 897 actually. Love this cover. Fun fact about the Lex Luthor warsuit. Did you know it was designed by Neil Adams? Yes, he designed this suit. By the way, this cover is a David Finch cover. Yes, big fan of David Finch. Met in person. Awesome guy to meet in person. Now, the next couple issues involving Lex with his hot android, where they counter the Joker. Yes, the Joker. This I found to be pretty fun. Yeah. Really fun stuff here with the Joker. And then toward the end of that issue, we have Larfleeze. All because of his connection to the orange ring. Yep, that's the only reason why he's here. Yeah, Larfleeze wants the power back, so he goes after Lex. Apparently, he searched the whole planet looking for him. Well, he was searching for about a year looking for Lex. Well, he found him. Yeah, then we have a count, and then all of a sudden, at the end of the issue, we have Brainiac 1 show up. Yes, I call him Brainiac 1 because basically he's one of 5. That's what they counter for the penultimate story for this issue, for the storyline. And apparently, he's behind some of the stuff related to the storyline. And then, of course, you have Lex supposedly killing Brainiac, but don't worry, he's still around. And he comes sort of a god in the Pacific, and of course, Mr. Mind pops up again because he was in the opening issue. And he becomes like this big, this godlike creature. Yeah, then we lead to 900, which has him basically, well, have Superman finally get involved to stop him. Yep, that's pretty much the whole point of the story. Yeah, he stops him, concludes the story. You could best start, that's basically the first half of the story. Yeah, he stops Lex, and like after he stops Lex and has him calm down and deals with other stuff where they relate to that. And of course, the cameo about the Joker, obviously. Yeah, and that's only the first half of the story because there's actually more here. Yeah, there's definitely more here. Alright. Yes, here we go. Now moving on to the backup story for 896. It's more Jimmy Olsen stuff. Now, for some reason, now I'm not really sure exactly why the backup story for 897, 899, why they weren't there. So we have kind of basically for the Jimmy Olsen stuff that basically is from 896. We'll talk about the Jimmy Olsen one shot. He's here with Chloe, where basically trying to become a male prostitute. Talk about his big week stuff. And leads him going to a wedding. Yes, a wedding. And then we lead into the Jimmy Olsen one shot. Which, here's the thing about this one shot. Here it is. Here's the cover for it. This one shot pretty much like reprints like pretty much the whole first four parts. The storyline, no problem. Yeah, it's like mostly a reprint of like all those issues plus like our new material. Yeah, the wedding still really doesn't get much anywhere at all. You have him where he has like a shirt underneath. Yeah, him becoming a potential Superman. Really fun stuff here. I do enjoy the Jimmy Olsen story. There's a funny bit he takes his pants and he's wearing boxers with Batman symbol on it. I find it to be so funny. And then Superman himself shows up. Yep. And then the thing ends with him with Chloe being his pal, and that's it. Yes, that is basically it for the Jimmy Olsen stuff. Fun fact about this Jimmy Olsen one shot: the last time you ever see Chloe Sullivan ever in comics, because after this she was never seen again, and never mentioned ever again. Yes, as far as I can tell, I'm not really sure of why in the world this was. Because, yeah, of course, works over the Metropolitan.com. Yes, all about a video game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, Nick Spencer himself basically does his whole storyline. It's interesting, though, that a character who was created from Smallville later appeared in the comics. And here's the weird thing about this character. Do you want to know what that is? She never appeared post Flashpoint. Nope. Because after this, she disappeared from comics. Yes, as far as I can tell, I've never heard of the exact reason why she wasn't brought back. Just wasn't. Do I think she brought back? As of currently, it's not currently necessary, due to the fact that the actress who originally played her on Smallville is in prison for being part of a sex cult. Yes, Allison Mack is in jail. And she even tried to get the actress played Lana Lang, her own co-star, to join this cult, and she got off scot-free for that. Not Allison Mack herself. She's currently in jail. Just Kristen Krunk got off easily because, well, she was recruited, but she never was joined. Yep. And probably because also, this is mostly for some people a very forgettable story related to Chloe Sullivan, because unless you know about this particular storyline, Jimmy Olsen's Big Week, you probably have no idea that Chloe Sullivan appeared in the comics. You have no idea about that. The only reason I know about it, because I read it. That's why. Now, to date, I do not know why the storyline is not in trade. Why there's no trade for it, I have no idea. Is it a bad story? No, it isn't. DC could click any time now if they wanted to. And with that also, they also finished up Paul Cornell's brief time on the book. Now, there is also still a few issues left to go for Action for its relaunch, which was the Random Doomsday storyline, which we'll discuss in tomorrow's Comic Corner. Yeah, but that's going to be pretty much it. It's getting kind of late. It's almost midnight right now. So I'll see you tomorrow for that Comic Corner. We have My Hero Academia, Black Clover, One Piece, Boruto, and Is There on Adventure. Basically, hopefully about 6 videos tomorrow. Maybe more, okay? Next video. Bye.